Hey everyone, this is 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back. Michael J. Nelson here, and believe it or not, I'm on a microphone again with Conor Listoka. Conor, how are you? What's going on, man?
We talked like 8 hours ago.
I know, I couldn't even fake that.
I know, it's like we have a tin can struck between our treehouse or something.
Yeah. It's Bart and what's his friend?
Millhouse?
Millhouse, that's right.
You're the walkie-talkie.
Newman. My world is so messed up.
Wow.
Bart and Newman would be a good pair.
Hello, Millhouse.
Hello, Millhouse. Yeah, so this is the podcast where Conor and I talk about bad books.
Yeah. It's a lot of people are saying like, this is your time. This is your time to write your King Lear. This is your time to, get that project, out of your head and onto the page now that everyone else has this free time. But it's like we're still reading bad books. We're still reading Dan Brown. Like that's what that's where that energy that could be going to compose our symphony is going.
Yeah, there's a famous, I don't know if this is anecdotal, but one of the saints or something like Saint Anselm or something, one of the early patrons of the church, he said, "What would you do if Jesus came back today?" And he said, "I would go back to tending my garden," meaning I'm fine. And we would say, "I would go back to reading Dan Brown's Digital Fortress."
Yes. I would keep refreshing Dwight David Thrash's Amazon page to see if he had released a 14th volume.
Yes. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
But hey, I stand by it.
Yeah, why not? It's, we're lucky that things have not changed too much for us. So glad that we can keep doing this. Because honestly, if there was a, this would be the first thing to go if I was in any sort of like perilous situation. Like, no, I'm not going to read a bad book. I'm gonna go out and pound the pavement.
My mind to higher things, obviously.
So yeah.
Nope.
Glad we can do this together, everybody. But yeah, we're reading Dan Brown's Digital Fortress is the current book on the docket, and we're like a tenth of the way through it at this point in time.
We read 37 chapters for this time. Do you find in your own mind that when I go to say I'm reading Digital Fortress, I can't help doing Digital Fortress for some reason? There's some 80s song or something stuck in my head. Sure. I don't know what it is.
Max Headroom, kind of.
Yeah, that's probably it.
There's the RZA, the leader of the Wu-Tang Clan, released a...
Of course. How dare you?
Saint Anselm, RZA. But he released an album in probably right around this, actually, 1999, I would say. Bobby Digital. That was his superhero alter ego. So it had Digital was having a moment, I think, at this point in time.
Was that roughly around the time that Garth Brooks became...
Chris Gaines?
Chris Gaines.
That might have been like a couple years earlier, but I think it was definitely inspired and definitely as unsuccessful as that. It was a big joke. It was like the Wu-Tang could do no wrong in the late 90s, and then Bobby Digital. So we had a Bobby Digital poster on our sophomore year in college apartment. Was there any hot takes that like, no, this is their best stuff? This is the new direction? Yeah, I am sure that there was someone out there saying that, but no one took that seriously, and no one would take that seriously. There was supposed to be a movie to go along with it, like I think
Bobby Digital, the movie.
Yes, and I don't think I think that's like The Clown Who Cried or Corman's Fantastic Four. I think RZA was smoking too many honey dips at that point in time.
Well, look, we have all the departments?
Of course, yeah. Oh,
yes.
People have been super engaged, I think, with all the downtime. Got a ton of fan fiction, some usable fan fiction, and we got a ton of emails and plenty of dumb sentences because there is no shortage of dumb sentences or things to compose lengthy email screeds about with this one.
Wow. How many would you say that you got?
You open up Gmail and you go to the next page, which is 50, I think, is per page on the default setting, and then I'm like, my God, it goes on to the second one. So,
well, thank you for taking that on.
Yeah, like we said, nothing but time. You can only watch so much Joe Exotic.
Did you finish that?
One more to go.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then I won't say anything.
I won't recommend it, I would say, especially since the moment has passed. But, it was interesting for the time.
Yeah. I ended up, well, all right. I said I wasn't going to say anything, and now I'm just talking about it. Forget it. All right.
What, did you look into it and just become disgusted with the amorality of it?
That was part of it. It's just like, dirt bags. The saying "turtles all the way down, dirt bags all the way down" doesn't necessarily make for a wholesome view.
Well, I don't think anyone was claiming that it was the the next "This Is Us," but that's Lauren's, I think, problem with it as well. You pile that on animal abuse, voyeurism. It's
all those things. Yeah,
right.
Totally.
Yeah, that's why I started watching it. But
yeah. And then all of a sudden there's all these dirt bags around. Like, guys, I'm trying to watch animal abuse here.
Oh, well, I don't think there's any animal abuse in Digital Fortress, so we can, should we recap about where we are, I think they recap pretty much at the start of chapter 10.
Strathmore, he tends to recap every couple chapters.
Yes. Well, she only has 170 IQ, so you never know when her mind might be, doing a Homer Simpson and having cartoon characters playing the fiddle in it or something.
Yeah, Strathmore's like Friends or something. He only exists on a couch in a coffee shop. Yes. And he just sits in his office. And
when you're that thick-fleshed, it's,
It's true.
Yeah, so...
So where are we? There's the NSA, the plot is the NSA is upset. It has to track down a code that a disgruntled employee from Japan has unleashed on the world that will cause the NSA to not be able to spy on everyone on the planet, and they're gravely upset about this, and they must stop it.
Yes.
And so they're searching in Seville for the guy who did it. He died of a heart attack in Seville.
NC Tancado.
Yes.
Who I always want to pronounce it as Enrico Palazzo.
And I have been unable to pronounce it at all. It's everyone has an Ogden, and that is my Ogden. Yeah, so go ahead. Make up memes about me. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with it too. But yeah, so they sort of explain this. We have Susan, the goddess, swimsuit model / genius, code breaker, and her fiance David is the one who's over in Spain investigating Ensai Tancado, and we sort of get the speculation she had was that NSA might have tried to kill him, but they say Strathmore, her boss, says no, it wasn't it wasn't us. He says a defective heart could kill him. Just like that, is what Susan says. It seemed too convenient. Strathmore shrugged. Weak heart, combine it with the heat of Spain, and you sort of get this going forward, is that they all the characters in this book seem to think that Spain, the collective royal Spain, is like going into Death Valley at the end of July.
Yeah, I couldn't. I did not know that was Spain's reputation, that its heat was killing people left and right, and so if you died, of course,
right?
Spanish heat.
Yeah, it is. It's but you didn't know that because that's not a thing. Like, I looked it up, and it's sort of like Spain has like beaches where people go, I'm sure, year round, and Seville, I looked it up, and the high in July was 95. And I can't imagine it's as, humid as, the southern United States is at that point in time, where people seem to be able to get by during these summer months.
But they make those palazzos to kind of collect the heat and kill people? Is that what they...
Yes. The tile
put an enticing fountain in the middle of it so that you have to go across the tile.
Yeah, it's like a video game level.
Yeah. So this is chapter 10, and my first note was... turns out we weren't wrong with our early interpretations of Strathmore. Strathmore's gravelly voice.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Get in here, sis. I need to tell you a little bit more about this code-breaking stuff. The greasy, thick flesh. What is this?
Yeah, thick-fleshed, and I imagine that means the jowls are sort of doing or making the gravelly voice also sort of blubbery.
But he's, obviously, heart of gold.
Right, yes, of course.
Swimsuit models,
the greatest man
father.
She's ever known.
Yes. He's calm. This calmness becomes quite a theme in this.
Yeah, because as we noted last time, Susan is still sort of like jerking around in her chair like Charlie Callis throughout the rest of this, just because everything he says surprises her or shocks her or makes
frowns, sideways smile, lots of weird things happening. But I think what's number one, and I looked it up, word count, so take a guess. How many times do people chuckle?
Oh boy!
in the book,
40.
Not bad. 24 times.
Wow. Okay.
And that's just the word chuckled.
Yes.
Yeah, so chuckles.
Emitted a chuckle, huh?
Yeah, so people. It just doesn't strike me as the NSA is not terribly serious because they're always going.
Right. Yes. Well, I guess when you're just when you're engaging with Dan Brown dialogue, you need some sort of way to break up those punchy sentences. So she says Biggleman's safe or something that probably provokes a knowing chuckle. I bet a lot of them are knowing.
This made me wonder if Strathmore is okay. He says, "We've got a good lead. Tancado made numerous public announcements that he was working with a partner. I think he hoped it would discourage software firms from doing any harm or trying to steal his key. He threatened that if there was any foul play, his partner would publish the key." Did we not cover this at length in the last chapter?
My note was, let's recap everything.
Strathmore? Do you want to just kind of tap him on the side and go, are you we just talked about this, right? Like, we just talked about this.
It's insane. It's like a previously on Game of Thrones thing that runs for a minute before, but that's because you had a week in between episodes to forget it. This was on the next page.
Yes.
But yeah, like he goes through all of that, and then Susan nods and responds, "Clever." So it's as if she hadn't heard any of this either. It was 100% covered in the previous couple chapters.
Again, editor, is that not circled with a big greasy red pen, like unnecessary, covered?
But he goes on to say that, so this is the standard, thriller plot where someone tells a partner, like, if you don't hear from me every hour, like, you've got to go public. That means that they've taken me out. And they reveal that silent partner in this whole thing is nicknamed North Dakota. And so Susan says, North Dakota, obviously an alias of some sort. Again, genius. What was it? Just she was only a genius compared to like Descartes or something last time. I think we realized. I
said about that North Dakota that she says obviously an alien, and like unless it's a stripper from Grand Forks, yeah. I mean, good call, yeah. High-ranking NSA director.
Welcome to the stage, North Dakota.
Right.
Yeah, but then, so he says, yes, but as a precaution, I ran an internet inquiry using North Dakota as a search string. So, just dressing that mundane thing up in the fanciest language you could imagine. I didn't think I'd find anything, but I turned up an email account. So Lord knows how he's filtering out all the legitimate, millions of legitimate North Dakota. I guess it is North Dakota, so there could be maybe like 10 results.
Yeah, that's true. It is not a populous state. Pretty much concentrated right there in Fargo.
But then she says, she instantly intuits this. She says, it's a trap. Ensai Tancado gave you North Dakota. He knew you'd run a search. Whatever information he's sending, he wanted you to find. It's a false trail. So once again, that's her genius intuition, just keeping us informed of that. But then he says, good instinct, Strathmore fired back, except for a couple things. I couldn't find anything under North Dakota. Weird. So I tweaked the search string. The account I found was under a variation, all one word, N Dakota. And so you see that on the page, and so I assumed the next sequence was going to be the 170 genius saying, "Oh, that's an anagram for Tancado." Like it's clearly
it does not come up.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to make of this?
And it's not even like it's a long anagram. Like if you look at it, I'm bad with anagrams on the Mega Touch machine and bars. I was always bad, and I was like, "Oh, that's right there." It's like a couple letters are reversed.
Yeah, what are they doing with this?
I don't know. They're
Dakota intentionally making their heroes just dumb as a post, dumber than a bag of hammers.
But she says, North Dakota, she mused, her cryptological mind mulling over the possible meanings of the alias. It's bizarre. I
don't know what to make of it either.
Selective dumbness.
But I have, speaking of chuckling, I have a sonic challenge for you. Again, I wish we had the soundboard with a sonic challenge.
There we go. That's our first one of these for this book.
Strathmore chuckled, impressed, comma, impressed. Strathmore chuckled, comma, impressed. That veered into Pepe Le Pew.
Wow. I was pointing the finger wag, too, of the this guy finger wag.
All right, let me see if I can do it. Strathmore chuckle. Okay, so it's gravelly.
Oh.
Thick-fleshed. You got to imagine a bead of sweat running down my jowly face.
Mm-hmm. Or off the tip of his nose.
Yeah, here we go. But also my sleeves are rolled up. Okay, here we go.
Gross.
Well, who said it had to be an attractive chuckle?
No, he's revolting. Has been well established. He's the revolting greatest man she's ever known.
And then a couple lines later, I noted this, Strathmore chuckled.
Jeez.
So this time he was not impressed. So I don't know how to do one where he's not impressed.
Yeah, it's more rueful, but I guess it's not rueful. It's just a straight up, she said something humorous.
Because it's gravelly again. All right.
But yeah, it goes into some more tech speak about tracing, email tracing, which I assumed was wildly oversimplified, but it did give us this gem. It said, when it came to discrete internet searches, Susan Fletcher was the woman for the job.
Talk about damning with faint praise.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow, discrete internet search.
It's like a Office Space scenario where they ask someone what they do, who's just there punching the clock every day. They're like, well, the boss has been known to when he needs someone to do a discrete internet search, he usually he comes to me. I mean, hasn't asked me to do that in a while, but
he couldn't do the discrete search.
Himself. I taught him how to do it, but he used to when he needed. So
he knows how to do a discrete internet search.
Yes, but I told him how to do that when he first asked. So,
Susan, what would you say you do here?
But as a person who has run many a discrete internet search in my time,
certainly with the private window and NordVPN fired up.
Pure muscle memory to bring up that internet incognito window. That is when you're looking for rigs or all that sort of stuff. There's no reason to have it in there. Have it in that history.
That's right.
But she also says they speculate about how Tancado was always he was discreet himself. He would go into university libraries, hack into their mainframe so he could be online and post this digital fortress. But then Susan right away says, if he's here in the States and uses something like AOL or CompuServe, I'll snoop his credit card and get a billing address within the hour. So I appreciated the shout out to those two late 90s giants, but they just talked about what a genius he was at encryption. Why would he pick a elderly assistant here who only had a CompuServe email address?
He worked for the NSA. The NSA is not taking their disk of the AOL disk and plugging it in and going, sounds good.
Right, yes. Mike, I've gone on the lam. There's federal warrants out for me. I need you to be my connection back to Lauren if I need to communicate anything. But and you're like, I only have a flip phone that's definitely tied to my own address. That'll work. That's fine. I'm not taking any precautions.
It's one of those jitterbugs with the huge button.
Even better, yeah. That will stand out even more in a crowd.
Okay. The one thing I noted about, so she's super, super, supernaturally hot, hotter than swimsuit models, you say.
And they keep hammering on that throughout this.
And I just thought it would be a funny thing in the movie when she walks by to have the guys kind of lower their sunglasses, but then go, man, that woman can do a discrete internet search anytime. That's the gag for that.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of, I'd Google her Bing. I don't know.
At the end of this chapter, there's a bunch of, as you talked about, her Charlie Callis-like reactions to Strathmore. Mm-hmm. And everyone out there listening right now is going, Charlie Callis.
They all looked into it. They all have familiarized themselves with his oeuvre.
Of course. And so they know what we're talking about. But at the end of this chapter, Susan gave him a soft smile. So I counted just dozens of frowns and tight smiles.
Okay.
So finally, a soft smile. And if I wish, again, this is not a visual medium, but that would be the equivalent of a sonic challenge to Give me a soft smile as compared to your tight smile and light frowns. There's lots of variations on frowns, but
yeah, well, you know,
it was just good to see that she finally softened.
Right. Well, as an Estee Lauder model, you always think of those as like soft light type of thing. So that's maybe that's what she's reverting back to.
Well, now, look, now that people have it in their mind, everyone at home, think of Charlie Callis in an Estee Lauder ad. There you go. See, it immediately pops into your mind.
He's applying mascara as he's, imitating. Hey.
All right, that's all I have for Chapter 10.
Yeah, me too. Chapter 11 starts with, so it ends with Strathmore revealing that he sent David to Spain. And so Chapter 11, she is not happy about this.
Chapter 11, this was the one where I laughed out loud, and there would have been spit takes had I been taking in large amounts of liquids.
Yes, this
her reaction to you sent him to Spain. It's like what?
Right.
It goes on for 2 pages.
Yeah, it's incredible. And yeah, this in the next chapter, I sort of stopped and had to recap to Lauren at some point in time because it gets out of control. But yeah, her soft smile is not long for this world, because now she is flexed like a mother tiger defending her cub.
Tiger, you say?
Yes, exactly. They're having a moment. And that metaphor, he sticks with it for one sentence before abandoning it entirely. The tiger lashed out. You've got 20,000 employees at your command. What gives you the right to send my fiance? And he has a good explanation for that, actually. He says, David Becker, no, he's not the only civilian I know, but at 6 this morning, things were happening quickly. David speaks the language. So his justification why he had to send her fiance, he's among the several billion people who speak the second most spoken language on the planet. I had to look it up, but it stood out initially. I had no idea it was number 2.
Did he open his contacts and David was just towards the top? And so
yes,
he got the call like, hey, could you, this is the NSA calling. Could you fly to Spain and get a ring?
Right.
Okay, great.
And he didn't, he didn't think David didn't need to explain it to Susan, even though, he got a call from her boss, asking him to do it. It's a very, very peculiar.
This is a weird plot point that, again, the fact that they drill down on it here, that he drills down on it, Dan Brown, makes you wonder, does he know what he's doing at this point? He obviously doesn't. This is not a plot point. Sending a fiance to Spain so that you can't go on your vacation to Stone Manor is not like a major thing. Like, the music sting does not come here when you go, what?
Right.
This is more like a... sitcom thing. Like, wait, we were going to Spain. I know, I sent him to Spain, and
but
I
it's
just
almost
don't understand who gives a shit.
It's almost like a Larry David, like unrelatable sort of sitcom thing. Like, the latest season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, there were multiple times where I was like, this is not the common thing of, they used to deal with on Seinfeld of like forgetting where you parked your car. This was like, I'm hiring my housekeeper to work on the same day that she hired hers, and now we have a war about like whether the housekeeper can clean both of our mansions on the same. It's like, settle down here.
Right. But anyway, so that goes on for a few pages of her just continuing to say, you sent my fiance to Spain? It literally happens like 10 times.
But he
goes, what was I supposed to do? And he's the director of the NSA.
Right.
He could just be in a second go like, shut up.
Yeah,
what are you
get out of my office.
I'll do whatever I want.
No,
your relationships don't amount to a hill of beans to me. I don't give
it. In terms of, they've already established this is a world-changing issue they're supposed to deal with. But he passes it off as saying, I did him a favor. And the director says, yeah, I'm paying him $10,000 for one day's work. He'll pick up Tancado's belongings and he'll fly home. That's a favor. Susan fell silent. She understood. It was all about money. So once again, the whole thing hinges on the suspension of disbelief that this Georgetown professor is like, is sort of a gig economy guy who's below the poverty line.
Oh, that comes up again in a major and bizarre way.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. But Strathmore has a wonderful play within a play.
Okay. Big fan of play within a plays. I mean, it's anytime you can get one of those going.
Yeah, and it's done so well here. He's giving the explanation of why he had to do it. And one of his explanations is this: I've had one hell of a morning. I downloaded Tancato's file last night and sat there by the output printer for hours praying translator could break it. At dawn, I swallowed my pride and dialed the director. And let me tell you, that was a conversation I was really looking forward to. Sarcasm. And here it is. Good morning, sir. I'm sorry to wake you. Why am I calling? I just found out translator is obsolete. It's because of an algorithm my entire top dollar crypto team couldn't come close to writing. So that was his little play within a play, where obviously at that point Susan would have said, "Sir,
yeah,
sir, what are you doing? Are you doing the voice of you doing that, or are you?"
Was he doing the little like finger, pinky and thumb phone, like holding up to his thing and like switching it to either side to indicate which side is?
It depends on which improv school he went to.
Yes.
You're supposed to either hold the phone or you can do the pinky and thumb phone.
The dumbest point of contention in improv.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so he sort of says that he was not going to call the director. He's also not going to call the president, who I guess is, the actual first in line. So this, we've all seen bad thrillers like this before, raises some serious red flags.
Right.
Like about the thick-fleshed man sweating behind the desk and his actual intentions. Because, we've seen enough of these that it's like, I didn't want to bother him. It's like, oh, you're keeping this a secret because, somehow, you're the bad guy here. It's so funny when it comes up later. I think there's only 3 characters we can choose from, possibly, sure,
to be the person. So I can't wait to guess on that one. But
well, there's that naked elderly woman trying to use a bedpan in the hospital.
Yeah, that's true. That could be her. But yes, I'm going to put my money on the sweatiest guy. Strathmore shook his head, a bead of sweat dripping on his desk. What a pig.
And also Strathmore's wife is revealed to be leaving him too. So, the sweating and thick fleshness might have been too much for her to handle.
Look, he had to sit by a printer for hours. That a guy works up a sweat when he sits by a printer.
Yeah, you never know when it could be requiring new toner. Like that's just you might have to PC load letter it. I don't second Office Space reference. But so the allusion to David's finances gets another. I sort of put these out of order, but I think it comes back in this chapter. But it's revealed that his finances had sort of changed their relationship a bit. I'll just read the whole description here. The president of Georgetown had offered David a promotion to the language department chair. The president had warned him that his teaching hours would be cut back and there would be an increased paperwork, but there was also a substantial raise in salary. Susan had wanted to cry out, "David, don't do it. You'll be miserable. We have plenty of money. Who cares which one of us earns it?" But it was not her place. In the end, she stood by his decision to accept. As they fell asleep that night, Susan tried to be happy for him, but something inside kept telling her it would be a disaster. She'd been right, but she'd never been counted on being so right. So it again is sort of like this. He's making reckless decisions because of his desperate need for money and his reluctance to let her amazing government salary paid for with Vichy Swan prime rib. He's not willing to let her do the work because of, I guess, old school attitudes or something. I don't know.
And now you said that she thought of that as they were lying in bed together?
Yes.
Was that after she had animal sex with him? Clearly.
Right. Yes. He was the first animal that he'd ever banged.
Yeah. Ugh. All right. Well, that's all I have that's chapter 11. There's so many chapters. So
let me just read this last thing to you. I just thought this was a good timing sort of thing. It's this is Strathmore. She's not picking up on any weird vibes about him refusing to call the president or the director, but she still is admiring Strathmore. In that instant, Susan realized what she respected so much about Trevor Strathmore. For 10 years, through thick and thin, he had always led the way for her. Steadfast, unwavering, it was his dedication that amazed her, his unshakable allegiance to his principles, his country, and his ideals. Come what may, Commander Trevor Strathmore was a guiding light in a world of impossible decisions. So she realized that in an instant.
That's a hell of an instinct.
Yes, she's picturing his unshakable allegiance to his principles, country, and ideals, and realized that he was a guiding light in a world of impossible decisions. So yeah,
look at that sweaty guiding light, the jowly, sweaty, his hair standing up, like pointing in every direction. Oh, he's my lighthouse.
Yeah, so
he's my lodestar.
It's a good instant for her to realize maybe it's just that 170 IQ working its magic.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. They don't think the way that we do.
Chapter 12.
Chapter 12. Well. What did the very opening of this chapter put you in mind of? Something very specific to one of our previous books.
Oh.
I'll read it. I'll read it and let the fans... This body had been stripped naked and dumped unceremoniously on an aluminum table, or aluminium for our UK fans. The eyes had not yet found their vacant, lifeless gaze.
I'm thinking, my heart is beating heavy already, but Beth Kitteridge.
Chapter 3, Tech Wars. Aluminum table, stripped naked, dumped unceremoniously.
Wow.
Didn't he defecate and...
mess, you've made a mess.
and urinate as the robot hand probed him or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah,
so that was...
there you go.
That was the hero of that book, Jake Cardigan. But I think later Beth Kitteridge, or at least the android simulacrum of the hottest woman in the book, was also like naked on the table.
She was on an aluminium table as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that it said he'd been to funerals, but there was something particularly unnerving about that one. I mean, every funeral I've ever been to has had a body stripped naked and dumped unceremoniously on a table. Is that not what they're supposed to be like? That's... Huh. Grandpa, I mean, put it in his will. That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
Arlington Cemetery was very confused. It was
our family uses Hank's discount funerals, and that's what you get from it. We prefer it that way. There's no reason to waste money. The yellow tooth captain, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a great character. Oh, sorry, lieutenant. The yellow tooth lieutenant.
Yes, it makes a big difference, I'm sure.
Man, I had this as a dumb sentence, but people are going to have this. The lieutenant looked offended in the way only a Spaniard can be offended.
People did submit that. Multiple people.
Sorry to burn that one, but I think it's worth a discussion. I mean, obviously, we're finally getting into Dan Brown's sense of humor here, and stuff comes up a little bit later in here too as well.
Yeah,
and it's not good.
No,
he should have kept that close.
Boy,
he should have just done the straight ahead. I'm being serious here. He never should have unveiled his attempts to do kind of die hard, humor in dire situations. Sure. He should have just stopped right there. And I think that's his first salvo in this process, and it doesn't go well.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, he throws a lot of things at you about Spain and Seville and stuff like that. But I too bad we can't do a physical challenge with that. I do have a friend from Barcelona though, so maybe I'll ask him to send me some facial reactions of what he interprets that as.
There was for those of you who like Faulty Towers, and again, reaching to a very, very current thing. Everybody's watching Faulty Towers during these times. There was a lot of humor directed at the fact that his assistant, who he hired on the cheap, was from Barcelona. And that was just supposed to be a joke, as he would screw everything up. And then Faulty would just say, "I'm so sorry, he's from Barcelona," and laughs. So
wow.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple things where, like, in this book where I just was like, his experience with Spain or his perception must be just wildly different than what mine has. Because, I went there, and as we discussed at our live show, sophomore year of high school, and, everything about it was, ideal tourist destination, like, romantic city. But it's we learned some more things about it that fly in the face of those assumptions.
Indeed. Especially when he tries to point him to the tourist locations.
Yes.
And then we get the I'll just read it. So this is Dan Brown's sense of humor. This is the yellow-toothed lieutenant talking to the charge, David Becker here. We don't, of course, have his entire body, the lieutenant added. Solo el escroto. Becker stopped packing and stared at the lieutenant. Solo el escroto? He fought off a grin. Just his scrotum? The officer nodded proudly. Yes. When the church obtains the remains of a great man, they saint him and spread the relics to different cathedrals so everyone can enjoy their splendor. And you got the... Becker stifled a laugh. Oi, it's a pretty important part, the officer defended. It's not like we got a rib or a knuckle like those churches in Galicia. You should really stay and see it. So there's Dan Brown's humor, everyone.
Yeah, so that is about Christopher Columbus. That was,
Yes.
So he's directing him to that. And I imagine the body is just there, like wheezing as it expels gases, like as its type of thing. Like the naked dead guy is just, as they're having this little, late 90s comedy bit in front of him.
Yes, his colon is bloating, of course, with the gases. His rigor mortis goes away after a while, right? So his body's starting kind of moving slightly as it flops down.
Weekend at Bernie's. But
Right.
So this is all predicated on, Christopher Columbus. Multiple people wrote in to say, of course, this is not true. Columbus's body is in 2 different places, I think. One of them is Spain, but obviously it's not a scrotum, and he was never sainted by the Catholic Church, so it's just false. It's
Wait, none of this is true?
No. We have
something this dumb. I just assumed. I didn't even bother looking it up.
Boggles the mind. I have someone wrote in right here. Let me call up the email, but George just said the business about Columbus, his body is complete BS. 5 minutes of research reveals that while 2 locations claim to have his remains, there's zero nonsense about him being sliced up and distributed all over Spain, and he's not considered a saint by the Catholic Church. One more item for the list of stuff Jan Brown made up about Catholicism. He was also Italian too, right?
Yes.
Very puzzling.
Bizarre.
I mean, but
so
that was
for this joke. He does that,
right? Yeah, the payoff was worth it to completely fabricate stuff and ruin the flow of your thriller. But that was all. The reason they're talking about it is because he says, "Poor bastard, heart attack, huh?" That's what and the lieutenant says, "That's what they told me." The lieutenant sighed and shook his head sympathetically. "The Seville sun can be cruel. Be careful out there tomorrow." So again, this he's warning him about venturing out into a area where people are just melting in the street, I guess. But then Becker responds, "Thanks, but I'm heading home." The officer looked shocked. "You just got here." "I know, but the guy is paying my airfare, is waiting for these items." The lieutenant looked offended. "You mean you're not going to experience Seville?" So he's sort of just giving him a eat, pray, love pitch here, as he's clearly is investigating a potential murder.
Yeah, when an official comes into your life and you ask him, "So, what are you in town for?" "I'm in town for this." "Oh, and when are you going back?" "When I'm done with this."
Right.
You wouldn't go, "What?"
Yes. Yeah.
"What do you mean? That can't be."
Yeah. People are, I could be grieving. I could be representing people who are grieving. Like, what on earth are you talking about? And then, from that directly into Columbus's sack.
Right. Well, the body of the what is he described as? Because this was in fanfic before. Yellow.
Yes.
There's a weird description of his flesh at some point.
Yeah, it's yellow except for the pinkish sunburn from the cruel Seville sun.
Ugh. With his twisted fingers.
Yes, he has 3 fingers. They're all twisted, and that was the final dramatic thing of this chapter was that he notices there was a ring tan on one of his remaining fingers.
A lot hinges on that ring tan.
Yeah. So and keep in mind, this is not Sherlock Holmes coming over here. This is the Georgetown language professor who's all of a sudden noticing details like that I'm guessing your average linguistics guy might not be keyed into.
Right, and the head of the NSA said, "Go over there and get
a folder."
Yeah, grab his shoebox full of his crap that obviously the yellow-toothed Spanish lieutenant just dumped his crap in a shoebox. Just grab that shoebox and then hop back on the private plane with your $10,000.
Yeah, he didn't even say, inspect the naked guy. It was just about retrieving the effects.
So that's all I have for 12. So then we're on to chapter 13.
Oh, that's chapter 13. No, I don't. Chapter 13 is a good one, though. It introduces us to a new character who is
Nakatomi Plaza, or whatever his name is.
Tokugen Numataka, who's the head of Numatech, which I mentioned to you, and you didn't seem to have had the immediate association, probably because it's ancient as well, of the Numa guy.
I thought of that, yes. Now that we're here, immediately I went, there we go, yes.
So Numatech is what I will choose to refer to it as throughout the rest of the book. Do you remember that guy's name? That's a good trivia question. The real name of the Numa guy? I know it off the top of my head.
There was probably 1 week in my life when I could have recalled that, but that week is many, many years ago. So what was his name?
Gary Brolsma.
That did not ring a bell, so maybe I made a false statement there. Sure. Maybe there was never a week where I knew his name.
A life well lived.
Yes. That's another thing to look up. Probably if you click on Charlie Callis, it'll probably come up in the link.
Yeah, related searches.
Related searches.
Yes, men with dignity. But Tokugen Numataka is about to close the biggest deal of his life, and his body is alive with the cool rush of adrenaline. I don't really think of an adrenaline rush as being a cooling sensation, but
that phrase comes up a number of times.
Cool rush, or a cool rush
the rush of adrenaline.
Nice.
Felt it, yeah. So it might be cool. I don't know. We'll see when it comes up.
And so this whole exchange reminded me of something. He gets a phone call from someone, an American, who is essentially claiming that they are the partner and they have the copy of the Digital Fortress passkey and they want to sell it to him. But Numataka, for whatever reason, immediately just thinks that he's being punked. He's just like, I don't believe that this guy is telling the truth for some reason. So he pretty much does the entire shtick of Principal Rooney when Cameron calls him up, pretending to be George Peterson. Yeah. And
this is George Peterson.
And Mr. Rooney immediately is like, it's Ferris Bueller. And so he tells him to go to hell and smooch his butt or something. But this is pretty much, this guy does the exact same thing. He goes, my name is North Dakota. Numataka stifled a laugh.
It's as though he's talking to a yellow-toothed Spanish lieutenant. He has to stifle a laugh.
And then he's smoking something called a umami cigar. A savory cigar, I guess. Yeah, he took a long.
I'm a part owner of a cigar shop. I've never heard of an umami cigar.
And this was, I think everyone learned about umami maybe 15 years ago. So this would have been even more mysterious in 1998. But he took a long pull of his umami cigar and played along with the caller's pathetic charade.
No, honestly, I've got the other key.
And then he covers the receiver and laughs aloud. And he
really does get in the mind of a Japanese business tycoon, doesn't he?
Yes.
Because then later he says to himself, this is Numa to himself, says, "No shit," thought Numa. It's worth 10 times that. But man, he has nailed the Japanese businessman.
Yes, really, especially because he does try to insert some of that earlier, where he's taken what you know about Japanese businessmen if you've seen an 80s movie, sort of like the Ernest Cline impression that we had from Ready Player One, where those two guys, Show and the other guy, were always he has behaved without honor. But he says, it has been a wide move on Tankado's part to have a partner. Even in Japan, business practices had become dishonorable. So you get that sort of stereotypical.
Oh, yeah. You get, what's the movie? Sean Connery, Rising Sun, 1985 or whatever.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's that sort of, I think we joked that every time those characters spoke in Ready Player One, Ernest Cline was envisioning a gong sounding in the background. And that's sort of what you have with this. Yeah. So it's ridiculous. But so he thinks that someone is trying to suss out what his bid was, so that they can top it, I guess. So after he laughs aloud, he says, he couldn't help asking, how much are you asking for both keys? $20 million. $20 million was almost exactly what Numataka had bid. $20 million, he gasped in mock horror. That's outrageous. So I don't know. The whole thing had me delighted. Like if this is some sort of tycoon, a ruthless like Rupert Murdoch type or something, it's hilarious to him. Imagine him doing this routine and not being like, sure, I'll put this guy on it. You take the call. Second in command. Like break this guy down and get the thing no matter what.
Right. But the chapter ends with, I'll be in touch, the voice said. The line went dead. Which, as we all know, do lines go? Maybe they went dead in Japan back at that time.
Right.
I don't know.
Yes. See, he hung up the phone.
As they do in movies where for years the other person would hang up and then the dial tone would start again, which wasn't a thing. So, it's just that thing of, well, why do that? Everybody knows that doesn't happen. That's not how it works.
But so the going, Numataka had offered $20 million for the this key that we've been told will, upend the way that the entire world works. It will be included on every computer. So.
And he had the same idea, right? Numa did to
put it in chips.
Put it on a chip that can't be a tamper-proof chip.
Yes. They'll weld it shut.
Everybody thinks that immediately about this thing. I just think that's funny that nobody else has any other application for what it is. It's just, you put it on one of them tamper-proof chips and you chuck it in a bunch of stuff and, profit. So
just as in terms of that, this is a revelatory thing for every businessman in the world. How much money do you think Michael Jordan earned in 1998, the year this book was written? His salary from the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, just the salary?
Yeah.
Oh, $12 million.
$33 million.
Okay.
So, you have Michael Jordan jumping into this negotiations being like, well, that seems wildly underpriced. Like, sure, I'll invest in that. Like, hey, like Scotty, you want to kick in $2 million to outbid this Japanese business tycoon? Like,
right.
we've talked about it before with like movies that go into the future. It's like, add an extra 1,000 to the year that it's going to be, just to cover your bases here. Like add an extra 0 to the price of this chip because $200 million, that starts to be unaffordable for your basic celebrities.
Right. That's all I had for 13.
Yeah, me too.
Chapter 14, we go back to Becker and the Asian's face radiating a pinkish glow.
Yeah.
The rest of him a pale yellow. So this was the
fanfic of the dead Asian.
The fanfic,
yes. We read it last time.
We're just back in this same spot, so arbitrarily jumping between 2 points for no reason.
Yes, and the chapters come fast and furious, very very quick ones here. So we're not leaving stuff out. It just is they're a page or two long in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And
this one is a page.
Yes. But he does his Sherlock Holmes routine. He points to the strip of pale flesh. See how this isn't sunburned here? Looks like he was wearing a ring. So I guess that's why he set up the sun as being this all-powerful, crushing, weather phenomenon, so that you would understand how a guy could sunburn so quickly.
I guess. I mean, I get a watch tan when I go out and play tennis for an hour, right?
Sure,
Isn't
yes.
It's
under the cruel Minnesota sun.
Cruel. Yes. So I guess that must be the reason. But this is also like meeting out this information pretty poorly. Like we had that whole chapter of him talking about scrotes and everything, and now he's just noticing a ring tan. That just seems like that could have been done in the past chapter. You didn't need to spend another chapter on this, did you?
Yeah. I mean, he must have a method to his decision to do this like this in terms of just, you'll keep reading if the next chapter is only a couple pages type of thing, like it's a thriller technique or something.
I mean, yeah, I've seen it done well. I'm just saying this is just very poorly meted out here.
Sure.
But we do, he's got this thing now, and he's on it. He was on the umami cigars and the Ducato cigarettes.
Oh, wow.
So this is his way of
little local flavor.
Yeah, giving some authenticity.
But yeah, umami cigar, is it dipped in soy sauce? Like, or is it dipped in Marmite? Like that's the thing that Kenji's always adding
it is a brand.
A brand?
It's a label of a brand. So it's not a brand itself. It's one of their cigars. But I don't know. It must be old and maybe they heard it first or something and just took it. I don't know.
He must have ran one hell of a discreet internet search to find that information out back in 1998.
He sat by his printer for hours waiting for it to come back up.
But yeah, so he's saying like there's a ring tan, and then the officer is suddenly perplexed. He studied the corpse's finger, then he flushed sheepishly. My God, he chuckled. I didn't notice that at first, but my God, he chuckled. The story was true. And then so we get this information. The guy who phoned in the emergency was some kind of Canadian tourist, kept talking about a ring, babbling in the worst damn Spanish I ever heard. So the police, took this information, and we've seen this happen in movies all the time. It happened in The Last Thing We Did. There's some sort of alarm system. There's some sort of warning. It goes off, and the person, monitoring says, it's probably just an error. And it's like, why do you have this system if the one time it actually goes off, you immediately dismiss it out of hand? And they've done that here.
What's the Spider-Man that we did where the guy was in the pit, right? Where they're going to send the big...
Iron Man, I think, yeah. Maybe, or I don't know.
No, Spider-Man with the guy who
Sandman.
Sand.
Yeah. God. Oh, that's how he...
And they're like, it must have been a bird got in there. Then why do we have the system? It's going off.
Yes, immediately a false positive. Yes. That was immediately what I thought of. But so yeah, they got eyewitness information from the one guy who reported it, and we're like, idiot. He's babbling.
But this comes up again. Also, what I don't understand, like that a Canadian tourist says the guy handed him a ring, and everyone goes, "What?" That is the strangest story I've ever heard. There's no reason for skepticism about a guy dying and handing you a ring. Like, what do you... yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's slightly... you don't expect that to happen every day, but it's not a thing when someone tells you that you go, but what? He's obviously been burnt by the Seville sun. There's no way.
Yeah, it's again, if our genius cannot decipher the most obvious anagram in the world, it's your average intelligence people are probably not going to be making the good decisions either.
Yeah. But that's a short chapter, so I don't have.
Yeah, he says, "Where's the ring now?" And the officer takes a puff and says, "Long story," which doesn't really turn out to be that long.
It's not a long story at all. I was wondering where this is going, like this babbling guy speaking in bad Spanish, and then it turns out to be just the most normal thing in the world.
Yes, but it kicks us into chapter 15, back at the NSA headquarters, and I don't know what your first note is, but mine gets back to. Mine gets back to a little something for Daddy.
Oh yeah, what is it? I didn't have to tell me about that.
So this is the I don't know if they mostly publish pictures, but if WikiFeet has a text section, I think this is probably going to be one of the most read sections on it.
Oh, now I know what you're going. Yes.
Susan slipped out of her Salvatore Ferragamo flats and dug her stockinged toes into the thick pile carpet. Well-paid government employees were encouraged to refrain from lavish displays of personal wealth. It was usually no problem for Susan, but she was perfectly happy with her modest duplex Volvo sedan and conservative wardrobe, but shoes were another matter. Even when Susan was in college, she's budgeted for the best. So she's slipping off her, expensive heels and flats, I'm sorry. And just rifling her stockinged feet through the carpet. And I guess the internet has warped me because that was the first thing I thought of was how the foot fetishes would respond to that sort of thing.
Yeah, but it's all justified by that very common saying that her aunt used to tell her. You can't jump for the stars if your feet hurt. Her aunt had once told her.
Yes. Which
I assume when she said that, it's just like, all right, look, Aunt, you one time you get, and if you ever repeat that,
her aunt's sloshing her martini, go to bed, please. And when you get where you're going, you darn better look good. So her aunt, and we know from the beginning that she was not she was a late bloomer in terms of looks. So her aunt was this was some severe criticism. Her aunt was was shallow as hell.
When you're as plain as you gotta have shoes that look good. You ugly little tramp. My first note was they designed the place that she's at to look to feel like home.
Yeah.
So this exactly
the Code Breaker's Cave
exactly describes my home. Plush carpets, high-tech sound system, fully stocked fridge, kitchenette, Nerf basketball hoop. So yes, all the comforts of home. Instead of a kitchen, I have a kitchenette. My fridge is always fully stocked and a high-tech sound system, whatever that is.
To be fair, if you're gutting all the vichyssoise you can eat, you don't really need a super high-tech kitchen because you can go and get all the comforts of home just down the hall.
That's true. It's like one of those Silicon Valley places where the play areas are so lavish,
right?
Always stocked with Kind bars and whatever,
kombucha on tap, ping pong table.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I don't know when it became the signifier for like the fun office, but the Nerf hoop or the hoop above the trash can. That would be an interesting sort of research of that trope, because I'm sure that originated somewhere, and it definitely caught on for a while.
It sticks to me that it's a advertising agency trope.
Oh,
like we're creative. We have a Nerf hoop.
Right.
Or there's pencils stuck in the ceiling. Huh? We're pretty nutty. If you want to keep up with this crew, you better get used to this kind of shenanigans.
Right. But it's one of those things that's also like, please don't do that while we're discussing, how to intercept the cables that are talking about incoming 9/11. Like we do not actually use that hoop type of thing, like the rock band we used to have in the early RiffTrax office, where we'd be like, well, this is a fun place, let's go play it on our lunch break, and people would lean in and be like, you knew that they were like saying, can you not, but they weren't aggressive enough to ask you not to do it.
Right. Yeah, a guy's just dunking him and he's talking about some dictator, like he's just doing one after the other. Like, yeah, I guess he did a bunch of sarin gas on his own people. Bizarre, huh? Swish.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Michael Jordan earning $33 million a year. Yeah. But yeah, they get more of the funny thing about the Electronic Frontier Foundation being the villain. 6 months ago, this is great. When the EFF broke a story that an NSA submarine was snooping underwater telephone cables, Strathmore calmly leaked a conflicting story that the submarine was actually illegally burying toxic waste. The EFF and the oceanic environmentalists spent so much time bickering over which version was true, the media eventually tired of the story and moved on. So to make themselves appear like more of a good guy, they just said they were illegally burying toxic waste, which is it's Terry Silver in Karate Kid 3 was had that, 10 years ago, nuclear was the preferred waste. You could bury it everywhere, but now everyone's a detective, including that damn Electronic Frontiers Foundation. The ASPCA is breathing down my neck about all those puppies I'm kicking.
Yeah. But also that he calmly leaked it. Like what? I mean, it's just a disinformation campaign. That seems to be his go-to thing anyway. So
right.
He's not going to get too worked up about it, is he? Like,
yeah.
I'm an a-hole. I'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah, I'll ruin the original reporter's life by conflicting the information.
Yeah. But so this whole chapter, what this is about, oh, by the way, she chuckled that Strathmore had encountered difficulty sending the tracer himself. So her job here, because she walks in and she sends she fills in some data fields that he did wrong, and then she just sends it and waits.
Folks at home, I'm so sorry I didn't capture the actual data filling scene.
Her job is when Dad messes up sending an email, she sends an email. That's her job at the NSA.
Yep. Wow.
Like, Dad, I've told you 100 times you have to put this in this field.
Yeah,
like,
you can't just type their name. You have to put the, shift 2, and that puts the @ symbol.
Yeah. Susan finished configuring her tracer and queued it for release. Then she hit return. The computer beeped once. Tracer sent. Now came the waiting game.
Wow. Oh, I somehow just glossed over that. Man, it is.
That's her job at the NSA.
Yeah, and that's the accurate depiction of that. So we make fun of, there's a great hacking scene in Swordfish where Hugh Jackman's tapping like 8 different keyboards and smoking cigarettes and being like, go, 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 go. But, so you can have it either way. You can have that and it's laughable, or you can have the actual way it works and it's probably even more laughable.
Now comes the waiting game.
But then you get one more info dump that, as far as the other ones go, I'll give him credit. He gets the ideas across, dumb as they are. And then you about Bigelman's safe or the Schrodinger's cat or whatever. You gain an understanding of the concept. This one about the Brainstorm software.
Oh, Brainstorm, yes.
That Strathmore uses to make decisions completely out of place. It just is. They must have realized that they needed it later in the book and just found a place to wedge it in here.
He worked religiously with Brainstorm. And then you get this. This is great. But as a TFM device, timeline, flowchart, and mapping software.
Go on.
Yes. It was a powerful tool for outlining complex strategies and predicting weaknesses. So this is some sort of just AI thing, or modeling, actually.
Yeah, it's just simulations of possible outcomes or something. So it better come up later, because it was a whole page about it right now that didn't connect to anything. It wasn't, him about to use the software or her. It was just sort of like, this exists.
Oh, this is Chekhov's Brainstorm for sure.
Yes, more on this later. Well, that's the last note I have on that. We can, we've got, I think.
Well, I'll give you the chapter end.
Okay.
The door hissed open, the Node 3 doors. David just called. There's been a setback. And I wish he had gone on. Like, something about a yellow-toothed lieutenant who wanted him to see a scrotum and a ring tan. Like, what are you, Strathmore? You okay, buddy?
He's about to collapse himself. Have you been out in the sun? This DC sun, I mean, it gets like 95 degrees here in August. It's like Seville almost,
but,
yeah. We can move on to chapter 16, but I think...
I'm cruising on my modest success from last week. Very modest.
Arrogance high, perhaps letting your guard down. I don't know.
Does something come before a fall? I can't remember what that is.
Not as far as I know, but I only read Greek myths, so I don't think that ever happens in those. So here's the fanfic. This could be future excerpts of Digital Fortress, or they could be fanfic submitted by our talented listeners. So you have to choose which are which, and they could all be one. They could all be the other. They could be a combination of both. We're going to do 5 this time. Here's number 1.
All right.
Becker tried to protest, but another sharp knock on the head silenced him. His legs folded and strong, sweaty arms carried him towards the waiting car. The ring. Where was the ring? Was it still in his pocket? Do they even know I have it? He caught a glimpse of yellow teeth smiling at him. The lieutenant from the morgue. Lo siento, senor. My apologies, but it seems you won't be getting that tour of the city after all.
I like the sweaty is good. And I mean, it's obviously it's
in Seville, so I
it's
mean,
hot. I mean, yes, it's killing people.
His skin
constantly.
is boiling. Yeah, 2nd-degree burns by.
Understated. I'm going to say that is fanfic.
Okay. Here's number 2. As David put the rim of the glass to his lips, a ginger bouquet hit his nostrils. He stopped and put it back down. A strawberry, citrus, and ginger smoothie usually only called for a dash of ginger, not enough to be detectable by smell. It was subtle, but ever since David had been served the nutritious drink at the Velderhof Country Club during one of his lecture tours in North Rhine-Westphalia, it had become a favorite for settling the stomach and aiding digestion. Something must have been done to it. He looked De La Rosa squarely in the eyes. "Would you like to try some of this?" David asked. "It really is delicious, like a creamy, liquid ginger cake." The Spaniard's right eye twitched. "No, thank you, senor. Ginger makes me break out into hives."
Well, that is fanfic, but I give it a golf clap. That's good. You're drilling down on the weird food obsessions. Yeah, perfect.
All right. Confidence. Number 3. "Geez," Brinkerhoff choked. "You think we have a virus?" Midge sighed. "Nothing else it could be." "Could be none of your damn business," the deep voice boomed from behind them. Midge knocked her head against the window. Brinkerhoff tipped over the director's chair and wheeled toward the door. Toward the voice, he immediately knew the silhouette. "Director!" Brinkerhoff gasped. He strode over and extended his hand. "Welcome home, sir." The huge man ignored it. I thought," Brinkerhoff stammered, retracting his hand, "I thought you were in South America." Leland Fontaine glared down at his aide with eyes like bullets. "Yes, and now I'm back."
Oh, well, I like that one.
Leland Fontaine.
I like that one as well. What was the guy at the beginning? What's the
Brinkerhoff and Midge.
Brinkerhoff, yeah.
Yes.
He's no Chartrukian, and neither is Midge. But what are we in a Hitchcock movie from 53 here?
Yeah.
Midge?
That's
that's fanfic.
Okay. Let's see. Here's number 4. Jabba resembled a giant tadpole. Like the cinematic creature for whom he was nicknamed, the man was a hairless spheroid. As resident guardian angel of all NSA computer systems, Jabba marched from department to department, tweaking, soldering, and reaffirming his credo that prevention was the best medicine. No NSA computer had ever been infected under Jabba's reign. He intended to keep it that way. At the moment, however, Jabba was taking a break and enjoying pepperoni calzones in the NSA's all-night commissary.
That's not what they eat there.
He was about to dig into his third when his cellular phone rang. "Go," he said, coughing as he swallowed a mouthful. "Jabba," a woman's voice cooed. "It's Midge." "Data Queen," the huge man gushed. Data Queen, the huge man gushed. He's always had a soft spot for Midge Milken. She was sharp, and she was the only woman Jabba had ever met who flirted with him. "How the hell are you?" No complaints. Jabba wiped his mouth. "You on site?" "Yep." "Care to join me for a calzone?" "Love to, Jabba, but I'm watching these hits." "Really?" he snickered. "Mind if I join you?"
Wait. There's Midge in that one and the one before?
Yes.
What? This is unprecedented in real or fanfic history. People are either reading ahead. What? I don't understand.
Sometimes people have read ahead and sort of like, we had one last time that referenced North Dakota, but I left it out because I didn't understand what it meant, so.
Well, this is, I don't know. I smell a rat. I'm calling foul here, but I mean, that's fanfic. But people looking ahead to trick me on things that aren't even, that we haven't even read yet? Come on. I'm calling this all fanfic. Go to hell, everyone. It's all fanfic.
Wow. So jackals. That's a quote. Mike Nelson.
Jackals.
Go to hell, everyone. And here's our final one. The man went from white to purple. "You know Dewdrop?" He wiped the sweat from his fleshy forehead and drenched his terry cloth sleeve. More sweating. He was about to speak when the bathroom door swung open. Both men looked up. Rocio Eva Granada stood in the doorway. A vision. Long flowing red hair, perfect Iberian skin, deep brown eyes, a high smooth forehead. She wore a white terry cloth robe that matched the Germans. The tie was drawn snugly over her wide hips, and the neck fell loosely open to reveal her tanned cleavage. She stepped into the bedroom, the picture of confidence. "May I help you?" she asked in throaty English.
That's it?
Yep.
See, I don't know. Protest, man. The Midge, the Midge thing threw me off.
You can reevaluate anything at any given time. I mean, I think you've done that before.
A bead of sweat falling from my jowly face right now.
Wipe it off and soak your sleeve.
Look, one of the rules is it could all be fanfic, right?
Yeah, it could all be fanfic, all be real.
Right. All right, then it's all fanfic. You
Wow.
like that? Huh?
Wow.
Everyone? You like that?
You're taking the me saying that we got a lot of it, and you're extrapolating.
Who do you think you are? I am.
All right. Let's see how you did. Mike told everyone to go to hell because he thought he was ahead of the game. So number 1, fanfic. You said that was fanfic.
Okay.
Written by Con. That was the Do They Know Who I Am? The Yellow Teeth. You might not be getting the tour of the city after all.
Right.
Off to a good start. Number 2, that was the nutritious drink at the Velderhof Country Club and the lecture tours in North Rhine-Westphalia. You said fanfic. That was fanfic written by Jens. I did not really realize how ridiculous that one sounded until I read it out loud. And I had sort of forgotten the smoothies post squash matches.
Sure.
But he's doing the iocane powder thing with that one. Number 3, this was Brinkerhoff, Midge, and the return of director Leland Fontaine. You said fanfic. That is real from later in the book.
Oh, come on.
Midge? That was submitted by Janelle. Yep, Midge, I guess, is someone
submitted by her.
Well, she just said, like, this might be a good one to try and fool him with.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
Number 4, this is Jabba, the IT guy, giant tadpole. That is, you said fanfic. That is very much real from later in the book.
No!
We've got Jabba wolfing down his third pepperoni calzone and
Wait,
hitting on
so
Midge.
the two Midge things are the real things?
I didn't realize sort of that Midge was so prominent. I sort of picked these at this morning. So, Midge is...
Look, I appeal to everyone listening. What would you do in my situation? When you hear of Jabba and Midge, you obviously... Come on.
I just I was like I gotta get some real ones. I just scrolled randomly in the doc, came to something. I saw Jabba and I was like and it was like named for the hairless tadpole. I was like, well, this is going in.
But Chartrukian is the guy who's tending to we already have a
Please, he's
sweaty, nervous
system
guy.
security. This guy is, I think, IT, maybe also system security.
Okay.
Yeah, so utterly revolting. I mean, leaning full into the mid-90s IT guy stereotype.
Oh, man, that is terrible.
Coughing as he swallows mouthfuls. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. Can't wait to see if Jabba ever interacts
he's eating
with...
3 calzones?
Yes.
Oh, my God. All right. Okay. All right, so I failed in my mission here, but what the last one I assume is fanfic.
The last one was the throaty tanned cleavage Rocosio Eva Granada. You said real. You said fanfic. That is real. That is from later in the book. Yes. So
the last 3 things, Midge and the tanned Iberian skin, are real?
Yeah, another incredibly hot woman who's everyone is gawking over and throatily saying things. That's the Dewdrop from the. I think we get introduced to her by the end of the book.
Dewdrop, yeah.
So yeah,
well, this was diabolical. You have to admit this.
There was. I mean, sometimes you go through looking for real stuff and you either burn the good ones or, but this one seems to have an abundance of riches. And I sort of looked in the first half of the book only.
I make no apologies for my choices on this one. I know I failed. I'll admit it, but,
Jabba,
again,
you could not have. I mean, that's the sort of thing that if it was fanfic, I would probably say settle down. We need to do something that would actually trick him.
Slip through. You have to have better standards than this, please. My God, that's amazing.
Right. So Jabba the IT guy fan art, everybody. That's our challenge. But yeah, knowing what we do about that, we have a lot to look forward to. But let's move on to chapter 16.
I'm still.
I know you've been thrown for a loop.
I'm shaking my damn head here. Wow. All right. Chapter 16.
Yeah. He's explaining to her what the setback was. He tells her it's been a ring. A ring? Susan looked doubtful. Tancato's missing a ring? Yes. We're lucky David caught it. It was a real heads-up play. Which a lot of people sent that in as a dumb sentence. I guess it's that sort of corporate NSA speak we all come to know and love. But again, he's grateful that David is the world's greatest detective.
But he says a puzzling thing. You're after a pass key, not jewelry. I know, Strathmore said in his gravelly voice, just reminding people. But I think they might be one and the same. Susan looked lost. It's a long story. No, it's not. It is not a long story at all.
It is not a long story. And why does she look lost? She's a genius.
Well, her IQ sometimes gets in the way, I feel like. The computer just starts to scan in the wrong places.
It's like how, the Beautiful Mind guy, he would have trouble with, day-to-day relationships because he was always one step ahead. She has trouble with, understanding things that she should understand because of her IQ. It just gets in the way. Right. It's a blessing and a curse. Well, I guess a curse, really, mostly.
There's a great thing in the... I'm a big fan of the Sherlock Holmes BBC from the 80s and I guess 90s too. He's so smart. I forget I can't remember the actor's name. He's so good. But in order to prove that he's human at times, he does a thing where he just does a fake smile just to show people that I'm human. And it's obviously not felt at all. He just does a thing where he raises the corners of his mouth, and it's very funny. Like his eyes are not involved at all. It's like, I'm human, just reminding you that that's what Susan must be like all the time because of her
That's her tight smile, I guess. Versus
yes, her mind is working at all times. But Strathmore here at the beginning, taking a swipe at Spain, right?
Yes.
He says, why not? Spain isn't exactly the encryption capital of the world.
Yes.
Nobody would have any idea what the letters meant.
Right.
Bunch of Spaniards stumbling around, stepping on their own feet. Idiots.
Yeah, he has it out for Spain's encryption talent and the Electronic Frontier Foundation. But even if it was the encryption capital of the world, he looked at the letters, but it was a dying guy like waving it in his face and blathering. Like what kind of a look at it is he going to get? Like if they did that in the encryption capital of the world, people immediately like interpret this as it's being thrust into their face. It's very stupid, is my point.
It's very stupid. And then, so getting back to this thing I referenced earlier, he says, this is Strathmore, I think, no, the Canadian story was so absurd that the officer figured he was either in shock or senile, so he put the old guy in the back of his motorcycle to take him back to his hotel, and that's when he fell off and cracked his head and broke his wrist. His story was so absurd.
Yeah, he described.
Does this track at all? This is not human behavior. What are you talking about?
He lucidly described a fairly normal scenario.
And so he's saying, look, he's saying in Spanish, I'm sorry, my Spanish is not that good, but this guy, as he was having a heart attack, took his ring off and handed it to me. I don't even know what you're saying, sir. I don't even understand the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Okay, Pops. Yeah.
Yes. What?
I mean, even if your immediate thought was not, there's probably a world-class encryption algorithm embedded in this ring, you would think like, he probably wanted his children to have that. His wife, who meant the world to him. He wanted to make sure that we got, something like that.
Right. He's a Japanese guy. His father was, in WW2 and right. Was one of the last guys on the island. And so he gave him this ring and he just wanted, what could he do? He said, please give this to my wife. That's not absurd at all.
Right,
I don't understand this plot point.
Yeah. But I also liked the thing that they watched that their instinct was he's either in shock or senile. So, what do you do? Your elderly grandfather is like wandering the old folks home at night. He's out of his room. He doesn't know where he is because he's senile or has dementia. Do you calmly take him by the hand and lead him back to his room, or do you ask him to hold on the back of a motorcycle as you drive him to his hotel? And he promptly falls off and break his wrist. It's like the biggest negligence of duty that I've ever heard of.
Hilariously, the guy, as it turns out, I mean, we're getting ahead, but he's 63 years old or something.
Right, yes.
And so senile? I mean, he's...
Yeah, younger than both of my parents. He's
just a guy.
Right, he's like, we learned that he's, gainfully employed and sort of famous, actually.
Sort of famous,
so he's holding down a job and writing a national column. So it's hilarious.
In fact, he's rather funny and sharp-tongued, as we'll get to. But yes.
Oh man, but yeah, so it's hilarious. I also like that they Strathmore is almost losing patience with Susan as they describe, it's the lettering. He says it's not Japanese. He said it was, Roman lettering, but he said it looked like a cat had gotten loose on a typewriter. And Susan is hearing this, and evidently she's sitting there like drooling and going, duh. He goes, Susan, it's crystal clear. Tancado engraved the Digital Fortress passkey on his ring. So he's just explaining. He's telling, not showing. He engraved the Digital Fortress passkey on his ring. Gold is durable. Whether he's sleeping, showering, eating, the passkey would always be with him, ready at a moment's notice for instant publication. I mean, I liked that they threw in gold is durable there, as if we were being like, but it would dissolve in the shower.
Right.
And also I can't. Some of my friends are able to do the thing where they have maybe a platinum or a steel ring, and they can pop open a beer with it. And you can't do that with a gold ring because it is not super durable.
It's not nearly as durable.
It would damage it immediately.
It's pretty soft.
God.
But the thing that made me laugh about that was the ad for gold. It suddenly sounded like one of those hair replacement commercials. Like whether he's sleeping, showering, eating,
Yes.
he's good to go with his new gold ring. Like, why do you have to? It's a thing that cracked us up for years. Bridget and I would, get a package of crackers, and on the back it would say, at the park, at home, on the go. Like, why do the crackers have to tell me where I can take my crackers?
Yeah, the power of suggestion.
How crackers
I guess.
work. I'll take them in the shower if I want. I mean, I understand that they're probably not optimal place to eat crackers, but I'll do what I want with my crackers.
Maybe 5 years ago, the Nats radio broadcasts were running. They had a prominent ad campaign for Cholula, where they would just run that ad probably every 3 innings or so with the iconic wooden cap. And they would say, put it on, these various foods, like you were just saying. And one of the ones they always suggested was popcorn. Sprinkle this hot sauce on your popcorn. I was like, you hear it enough, and I'm like, I guess I'm going to try that. Like, that's so insane that, like, maybe it will be good. I don't think I ever did, but, so maybe that's what they were going for with crackers. No one thought to eat them in the park until they suggested it.
Sleeping, showering, eating. But then Susan's reaction to it again, like you said, is she... Like, you need to shake that head, like get a restart on that 170 IQ. She looks dubious at him. On his finger? In the open like that? Are those two things the things that you think of? Your finger in the open like that? Like it's in the inside of his ring.
Right.
What are you talking about? What?
That was my interpretation, right? It's on the inside. Like my ring has our initials and the wedding date engraved on the inside of it.
I was assuming, that it's the one ring, right? You throw it in the fire, and then on the inside you can see letters. Like, what?
Even if it was on the outside, if you had rings in the 5-point font that mine is in, not a single one of my friends or family members would have ever picked up on what was on the outside of my wedding ring.
No. So I don't know. Susan seems like a real dumbass to me.
Yes.
I mean, she's hot. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
yeah, maybe that's the twist.
Yeah.
Everyone is just treating her differently, deferring to her as she stumbles upward at this job because she's so hot.
And then towards the end of this chapter, also we get he knew the only way we dare kill him is if we found North Dakota. Susan felt a chill. Of course, she whispered, Tancado. Which you just read as North Dakota.
Yeah.
So, what is he doing with this? This can't be a thing that he's going to reveal later, right? I mean, it can't be. It's got to be like, haha, you were all looking here because you're dumbasses. You thought Tancado and North Dakota were similar, but they're not.
I guess so. I hope so. I mean, it's, but so what is the possibility? He has a brother. He's not really dead. He has a twin, etc.
Yeah, I don't know. He hired a deformed guy to play him or something.
Sure, I guess so.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Certainly, I don't think it would be beyond him to have a soap opera twist. I think that's a Dan Brown hallmark of this character who you were spent 300 pages with and was good the entire time is now bad type of thing. So I think this guy who, the book literally started with him dying is alive would not be out of bounds.
Yeah. Just dumb. Dumb as hell.
Yeah. But, funny.
Yeah.
Chapter 17.
Yes.
I think that starts with David Becker stepping out onto the scorching tile concourse of the Plaza de España. And at this point I'm getting concerned because David must be so hot and sweaty that he has to find a water fountain to shower off in, and I don't know
does Seville have? I hope they have tons of them.
Yeah,
He's got to be doing it every couple minutes. I mean, fruit smoothies hard to come by, but
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I've never been. Have you been to Seville?
I think so. I mean, I think I don't know what's there, but I'm pretty sure I have, just because
you saw the scrotum, surely.
Sure. Oh, yeah. I mean, went. Took a selfie with that. And also, I think when I went to Seville, I did this. It was visited the Plaza España. Despite its history of military coups, fires, and public hangings, most tourists visited because the local brochures plugged it as the English military headquarters in the film Lawrence of Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why most people were visiting.
That brings in people to sights of splendor is the fact that they were in Lawrence of Arabia.
Obscure locations in a film from the 60s.
Right. But you know how I'm concerned that Susan might not be as smart as she says. I'm concerned that Becker's not as smart as I think he is, because so Becker wondered what could possibly be so important about a ring with lettering all over it. You really? You're being asked to get it by the head of the NSA, and you wonder what could possibly be so important? I mean, think about it for 3 seconds, and then go, oh, there's lettering, so it's a code, and we need it, and it's important.
Right.
What? He's a dumbass too, like an absolute dumbass.
Yes, yeah. You don't understand what it is, but you must say something beyond my comprehension must hinge on retrieving this. If the it has national security in its name. Right.
When they want me to break the code that the Germans are sending in their U-boats, which are sinking the supply ships that are bringing stuff to England. Like,
okay,
all right. What could possibly be so important in these codes? Like, that's the point. You don't know what it is.
Exactly. Even if someone's family asked you to retrieve a ring, you'd just be like, well, there must be reason behind what I need to know. So, but it seems important to them, so you don't have to like puzzle out why. But also kind of a dumbass, because we get this. Strathmore had told Becker, use the 10,000 cash to buy the ring if you have to. I'll reimburse you. That's not necessary, Becker had replied. He'd intended to return the money anyway. So we have him getting the job because he needs the money, but then he's acting like it's a charity. Like he's going to be like, oh, please, NSA, you need this money more than I do.
But also, how in the God's name does he know it's unnecessary when he hasn't made an offer to buy the ring yet? So he's like a triple dumbass. Yeah. Like, no, use the money. Use the money to buy the ring. Like, yes. No, that won't be necessary.
No, it might cost 10 times what we gave you. Yeah, because it's very important.
You might need 1,000 times that amount of money, and I'll wire you that, dumbass. Stop. Yeah. What are you talking about this at all for?
It's fine. I'll just do DoorDash for 4 years when I get home to make it up for you. I mean, clearly, you're invested in destroying that EFF, so you're doing the public good. You need it more than I do.
And he's, as he's screaming at him over the phone, like, no, use it. I can't hear you. My head is in a fountain right now. I can't.
Oh, but yeah, he says he also refers to as an errand, which I didn't notice it had happened before. But flying to Spain in a private jet just stretches the definition of the word errand just slightly,
right? But it is getting annoying at this point. His refusal to engage with currency at all is just like this is not a charming trait. It is not character revealing. It is just very, very odd.
Right.
Like, here's an envelope of cash. I was told by the director to hand this to you. Like, no, I don't need that.
Yeah.
No, please. As though he's demurring when his aunt is trying to give him another birthday gift or something.
Yes.
Like, shut up. You don't understand what you're talking about. It's not cute. It's not charming. It's not a thing at all.
And it goes against his, he's always paying for the dinners when he and Susan go out, despite her protestation. So it's just, whatever the situation is, he's making the wrong choice when it comes to money.
Right. I mean, those two, obviously, they'll need counseling if they ever get married or anything. Like, you two.
They are going to get, I guess you meant if they ever follow through with the wedding, but they are engaged. So a lot of people go through that before the wedding actually happens.
Right. I mean, a huge red flag for, I don't know if they're going to get married in a Roman Catholic church. They have to go through that the class, and someone has to put their stamp on it and say, yeah, you're good to go. But I would be going, no, I don't think you got a weird money thing going on.
Exactly.
It's not going to work out.
I mean, she has the highest level security clearance, so I imagine there's probably a prenup that goes along with that as well. So you might want to deal with the finances before that happens. Don't give away $10,000 when it falls into your lap would be something I would have an issue with.
As your counselor, I have to say, Susan, you are obviously incredibly, incredibly hot as I look at your bra just barely visible below. And David, Mr. Becker, you Your thick hair is certainly impressive. However, you two should not marry. You should not marry.
Susan, he is a triple dumbass. Father, please.
That's all I have for 17.
I had one more thing. He keeps trying to call Susan, but keeps getting her machine, I guess. And he listens to the message this time. Where is she? By now, Susan would be panicked. He wondered if maybe she'd gone on to Stone Manor without him. So that's where they were supposed to be going on their romantic vacation. So he thinks by now she must be panicked. Maybe she's taken a vacation in a panic. is his back-to-back sequential thoughts.
But he had called her, right? When she was having she was moaning and thinking of him, and then he called.
Yeah, in the morning, yep.
And he didn't tell her where he was going.
Yeah, right. I think because
he could have, right?
He figured that, it was her boss, so it was a matter of security. It's another stupid thing. It's
dumb. And now he's trying to find a phone booth in the, you can't. You'll melt in that sun. Don't even try to make a call.
Yeah, I wondered about that too, because it ends with saying David was too preoccupied to see the man in wire-rimmed glasses watching from across the street. So I don't know, how that guy is dealing with this, with the melting or the thing. Maybe he has a parasol, but we're left to puzzle about that. That's the main mystery that I have invested myself in so far.
That is the dumbest thing in the world. You just have to imagine, like, which movie is he thinking of? Is it like the Indiana Jones guy with the wire rim
that's
glasses?
What I thought. My first thought. Yes, 100%.
Okay.
All right. And maybe it's, the hottest day of the year. That's when, I think Do the Right Thing took place on, where everyone's AC is broken and everyone's irritated and angry. So that's got to be the...
Right. I think Rear Window has that too. It's super hot. So they all left to have their windows open. Second Hitchcock reference of this broadcast.
All right. Well, we can get... we're not all rigs, people. We have... we've conducted discrete internet searches about other stuff too.
Chapter 18.
Oh, yeah, another brief one.
I have a single note about this. Worthless chapter. I think we just go back to Numa, and it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, he's waiting for the guy to call him back for his $20 million offer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did get one more, Ernest Cline's description of Japan. He says, although Japan was changing, Numataka had been trained in the old school. He lived by the code of Menboko, honor and face. Imperfection was not to be tolerated. If he hired a cripple, he would bring shame on his company. He had disposed of Tankado's resume without a glance. So that's, a little bit of backstory that I guess Tankado wanted to work there, but he was too invested in his honor to allow him to.
And Numa checked his watch again. The American North Dakota should have called by now. So the Japanese businessman has no problem, Americans are weird. They call themselves North Dakota. Who am I to disparage their weird choices?
Oh, man. Dumb. But yeah, moving on to chapter 19. We go back to the NSA.
Chartrukian's back, baby.
Yeah, so they're in the Nerf hoop room, but Chartrukian comes on over.
And he's a nervous dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Chartrukian had his face pressed against the pane and was pounding fiercely, straining to see through.
Yeah.
You're fired, Chartrukian. Get your greasy mug off of our...
Yeah, this is clearly the most secure place in the thing. If you're not invited in, we don't want you in. Knock it off.
Banging against the one-way glass. This makes the upcoming Jabba look a little more dignified.
It does, yes.
Chartrukian.
He has his pepperoni calzone in one hand, smearing it as he presses his face up. Before he comes in, though, I just want to touch on one more avoidable mistake.
Sure.
We get a little background of the triangle of David, Strathmore, and Susan. Could David be in danger? Strathmore shook his head. Nobody else knows the ring exists. That's why I sent David. I wanted to keep it that way. Curious spooks don't usually tail Spanish teachers. He's a professor, Susan corrected, immediately regretting the clarification. Every now and then, Susan got the feeling David wasn't good enough for the commander, that he somehow thought she could do better than a school teacher. And it's just come on, man. if you wanted to do that, you could have done that. You made him the head of a department at Georgetown University, prestigious private university. Like, again, you could make him have lost the Georgetown job and now having to be teaching at a community college. You could make him a noble high school Spanish teacher or a Teach for America guy. But, he's on the run for tenure and a lifetime gig doing this. It's so dumb.
Well, why does it doesn't speak well of Strathmore that's his slam on him?
Yeah, the guy that he hired
Yes.
to do this, the expert.
It's so stupid.
Then again, he only hired him because he spoke the language. So,
but yeah, he's not. It's not like knocked up or something where he's like that guy. I mean,
a slob. Yeah,
no.
Yeah, it's amazing because it's so easy to do that. You just look at it, and it's anyway.
Now Chartrukian here turns into Jerry Lewis around around her. Here's an impression, or here's his description of her. Susan intimidated the hell out of him. Her mind worked on a different plane. I guess he's talking about when she couldn't understand why rings could possibly conceal information. She was unsettlingly beautiful. Is that a thing?
That was something to try to think of, like who that would possibly be.
Who's unsettlingly beautiful?
I think someone, Melania Trump, that sort of like super made up type of voice where it's like, I know what she's going for, but like it doesn't, you protest too much kind of thing.
Again, didn't we talk about it before with Julia Roberts walking down the stars?
Sure,
and like, this is the best part of my day. That's what it's supposed to be, right? Like guys just going, jaws
Phoebe
falling
Cates,
down. Yeah, okay. Unsettling.
But
and his words always seem to get jumbled around her. So you're a top hire at the NSA. You're part of the inner circle. Mm-hmm. And you walk into a room with an attractive woman and you go, Susan's unassuming air made it even worse.
Right. Yeah.
So he's, spilling coffee down his pants. He's
and
he's hitting his head on the corner of the refrigerator and bleeding all over and going,
right. But it's not like she's, Jessica Rabbit, I think would be another, unsettlingly beautiful type of thing. But, at least Jessica Rabbit is like, laying it on thick, with her whole act. But, Susan is just sort of like, an unassuming air. It's not like she's, pushing him in his face or anything.
Right. She's not like tracing a finger down the middle of her cleavage, and painting. Right. She's not putting
a cherry stem with her tongue,
right. Like putting a finger on his bottom lip and like tracing around his. He's just walking into a room where they're talking about, retrieving a ring from Seville, and he's like,
yeah, he squeezes his pepperoni calzone, and the cheese and pepperoni shoots out the top of it into it. Yeah, I mean, as we see, it keeps going with the attractive woman the German is with. So it just is, it brings me no delight because I just don't know. He wrote this when he was probably my age, and it doesn't, I don't know, reflect well.
It doesn't speak well. No, it does not. It does not. But it's a weird chapter because it hinges on Chartrukian not believing his director, or just being, it's just sort of a vague, like, well, I don't know. And he's telling him, no, we did that. It's fine. Mm-hmm. Go away. To which, when you're talking to the director of you would just go, okay, that's fine. I mean, sure. If you're not worried, I'm not worried. I'm out of here. I'll go take my day off. I'm going to go play Frisbee golf in the park.
Right. Well, so for example, if someone at RiffTrax, was just like, oh, like, we don't need to get into that. We'd be like, oh, weird, but like, they don't want to talk about it. This is the NSA where things, again, levels of security up to like the highest in the entire world. And so someone says, you don't need to know about that. And the guy's like, son of a bitch. Like, I don't believe you. Like, it's like, there's secrets everywhere.
Yes. That's what we do. We traded it, and I'm telling you. And if I told you, like, okay, so I'll tell you, and now there's going to be a red dot on your head, and your head is going to explode against the wall.
Right, exactly. So, 100%.
Do you really want to know more about this?
Right. But it does get
Chartrukian gets the chapter stinger for that.
Yeah, it's there's some great as we had her. What was she pressing enter and sitting back and waiting earlier?
Yes,
we get some dramatic dialogue. So Chartrukian has just been sort of dressed down in front of the hot woman, and he's upset, so he's fuming. But when you're fuming about the cis-sec operation, the NSA, it comes out pretty funny. A diagnostic, my ass. What kind of looping function keeps 3 million processors busy for 16 hours? So he's just red-faced and balling his fist as he says that. Bemoaning looping functions.
The oath Chartrukian had taken when he joined CISSEC began running through his head? He took an oath? I mean, it's possible. It seems probably illegal, but whatever.
Sure, yeah.
He had sworn to use his expertise, training, and instinct to protect the NSA's multi-billion-dollar investment. So there was a classroom of people, and like, hold up your right hand, put your left hand on this Bible. Chartrukian, do you swear to keep the use your expertise, training, and instinct to protect translator? Yes. I swear it. Yeah. My God, I will jump in the jaws of a lion to protect this computer. All right, Chartrukian, you're on the team. So at the end of it,
they don't even emphasize that it's like in the interest of national security. They emphasize the value of the investment.
Yes. He's just talking about, look, we got this new computer. It's got a gig of memory in it. I'll jump on a grenade for that thing.
Yeah, he puts his hand on the table. He's like, "You can take my pinky. That's how much I value this."
He's G. Gordon Liddy holding his hand over the candle until his flesh roasts. That's my commitment to protecting this hard drive. So he ends the chapter with, "Your baby's in trouble, Commander," he grumbled. "You don't trust instinct? I'll get you proof." And then he pressed his greasy face against the window.
Is that the last sentence of it?
Because the last sentence of the thing. I'll get you proof.
So I think right before that, defiantly, Chartrukian strode over to the terminal and fired up Translator's complete array of system assessment software. So, baby, if you wanted programmers defiantly firing up system assessment software, this is the book for you.
Well, I wonder the times where he didn't do it defiantly. I wonder if you could tell,
Yeah, exactly.
Side-by-side pictures of him firing them up.
Yeah.
That should be a computer game in a bar. Like, can you spot the difference between Chartrukian firing up?
I was messing around with some, music software the other day, and it responds to a key press in terms of like how hard a drum is hit or something like that. So like that could be, how emphatically he pressed Control Enter might be how defiant he was in his firing up.
Hang on. I just got to brush off some of Jabba's pizza drippings here, and then but trust me, this is defiant. The way I'm doing it is defiant. I have to get some Windex and.
I'm so glad we have Jabba to look forward to.
Yes. And Midge, I can't wait for Midge.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because those two things sort of assumed that you knew who she was. So are we gonna, what's your just based entirely on stereotypes about that name? Is Midge gonna match the other women in the book so far, or? I
think Midge is going to show even more bra. I think she's going to be even hotter.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be like, if you thought Susan was hot.
Right. He's just going to
get a load of Midge.
He's going to completely punt and just be like, I don't know. Midge looked exactly like Elle McPherson. Okay. So now she's Jabba's hitting on her. Let's move on.
Chartrukian has to go from Susan to Midge, and his heart explodes as he walks into, He's already cut himself on every surface available when he talks to Susan, but then Midge is just off the charts. Beautiful.
He's like the chef in Ratatouille when the rat was figuring out how to control him for the first time. Just limbs flailing and
Oh, my God. Absurd.
Yeah, it really is. Chapter 20 goes back to Becker in España. And
my God, this is quite a bang. This chapter 20 opens with a bang. If you do you got it there in front of you?
I think so, but you can go ahead. He goes to the hospital.
Yes, he's in the hospital. The air smelled of urine. The lights at the far end were blown out, and the last 40 or 50 feet revealed nothing but muted silhouettes. Here are those muted silhouettes. A bleeding woman. He paints quite a picture. A young couple crying. A little girl praying. Becker reached the end of the darkened hall. The door to his left was slightly ajar, and he pushed it open. He's looking for a Canadian man.
Yes.
It was entirely empty, except for an old withered woman naked on a cot, struggling with her bedpan. Thank you, Dan Brown. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean that's a potential robot pimp scenario for any character entering a room.
Oh, withered. The woman responds like, "I'm 97. I have no insurance. Jeez.
Yeah, life well lived. My great grandkids were just here visiting me. Like, leave me alone." But yeah,
I didn't invite you to come in and look at me.
Yeah, so he goes to a hospital and starts barging into doors in this thing. He sees people coughing up blood, and his instinct is to just start like barging into these areas. Like, I don't know why this hospital's so bad, but that's all we get of the old woman, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But it's like Danny Torrance, like biking around the overlook here, like, seeing the bear suit guy and the old woman in the tub and stuff.
But a bleeding woman. Any instinct to, get her help? Like, is anyone tending to her? She's just by herself bleeding.
But he sort of
walks past her like, good luck with that bleeding there, woman.
Yeah. Are you in line? But this is a Dan Brownism. Like, I think he said it before, but he just says it was like some eerie set conjured up for a Hollywood horror flick. So we just joked about saying she looked like Elle Macpherson, but that's essentially he just says, yeah, have you been to a creepy hospital in like, Silent Hill, Resident Evil? It's like that.
Yeah. Yeah, lights are obviously the lights are flickering and all of that stuff.
I almost spit-taked when you went straight to the air smelled of urine. But yeah, so I don't know if this is supposed to be like a slam on Spain or
yes, he obviously has a big problem with Spain.
Because he says this now. He goes to try to get some records, find out where the Canadian is, but he says the line was about 10 people deep, everyone pushing and shouting. Spain was not known for its efficiency. So these are the two things I've learned about Spain is that, cruel sun and lack of efficiency.
Oh, no, one more thing. Not exactly the head of cryptography. So if someone dies with a crypto ring there, the Spanish people are going to look around going, huh? I don't know.
Maybe if they keep stacking up, we'll have to have my friend Javier on. He run these stereotypes by him. These all seem like things that could have been sourced from a very certain facts-based website, if you ask
me. Yes, indeed. Here's a real action sentence. So he realizes he can't wait in line, right? So he like runs around and he sees I think it's a gym or something, and there's hospital beds in the gym.
Yeah. In
the far corner, just beneath a burned-out scoreboard, was an old payphone. Becker hoped it worked. That was a real action thing, watching your hero hoping something.
Right.
Isn't it a weird phrasing? Like, Becker hoped it worked? Like, that is when he does those dumb, like, italicized things of people thinking things, wouldn't that be a time to go, I hope it works?
Yes.
Instead of Becker hoped it worked. It just struck me as a really dumb sentence, like a stupid way to... Yeah, I guess we all go around hoping things work.
Right, yeah.
Do we do
you
it
assume
as a thing
maybe.
An action thing? Like, God, I hope that works.
It's also 1997 or so. So like, you take it for granted unless, I guess it's a pretty shitty hospital where grannies are peeing in bedpans and stuff. So that might be the reason he assumed it didn't. But most payphones worked in 1997.
Yes, he swallowed his aspirin. He hoped it dulled his pain. Like, yeah, I mean, those things are sort of built into how we use things.
He stepped with his right foot. He hoped that his central nervous system would indicate to his left leg that it should take the next step, propelling him forward in a ambulatory motion.
Right.
But talk about drama. It was mostly just describing this, and obviously the woman peeing was the highlight of the chapter for me. But it had a very dramatic ending.
Obviously, that was the highlight for you. Yes.
Yes. I did some discreet internet searches to confirm how that all worked. But if you don't have anything else,
I do. I have the end of the chapter.
Yes,
struck me as very funny,
very dramatic.
Here it is, and I'll.
Yeah,
the chapter
jazz
end
it up.
Good,
give it
but it's missing something.
Okay.
And so I'll add that on. So Becker wheeled and slammed the receiver back down on his cradle. Then he turned and stared back into the room in stunned silence. There on a cot, directly in front of him, propped up on a pile of old pillows, lay an elderly man with a clean white cast on his right wrist. How's it going, eh? It was the Canadian, Becker thought. Everything was real up until how's it going?
Yes, right.
he's looking for an old Canadian guy. There he is.
Yeah, ketchup chips.
Oh, how about some poutine, eh?
But yeah, I like that. As all the other things have been like he didn't notice the man watching him. He had no idea how bad his day was about to get.
Yeah,
there was an old man with a cast lying on his side.
No indication of whether or not he's urinating.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we get some info on that?
Yeah, but fool me once on that. You don't doubt that this elderly person's going to struggle with a bedpan? I'm not. Sure. I know where my money's on for this guy. Chapter 21 had nothing of interest to me. More Numa negotiations. Yeah.
That's Numa, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Talking with North Dakota.
Yes, I think he's saying like we'll call you back or something. It's again, it seems like sort of an afterthought, just like that simulation software.
Okay, so this is where I asked the question. Just predict it. So, who is North Dakota? Is it Charcuterie or whatever the hell his name is, or
Chartrukian?
Yes, or is it Stratham, or is it the director?
I think that,
or is it someone? I mean, are there any other characters?
My guess is a Tonkato not dead or Twan or something like that.
Okay,
I think that what's his name is a bad guy, Strathmore, or he's going to do some bad things to get what he wants.
Sure.
So far,
he's not doing good things like spreading lies about dumping toxic
nuclear
waste when he's spying on people. He's going to do something other than the very, very good things he's been doing.
Right. It is very funny. I mean, I guess that's the classic. Question is are these invasions of all this worth lives and stuff? So, but Dan Brown has not delved into the ethics of that type of situation yet. All he's done is say like, no, this is good. Take our word for it. We're also pretending we're dumping nuclear waste.
I think it's going to all of that is going to be put in the mouth of Jabba, and it's going to be this very thoughtful. It's going to take in all points of consideration: philosophy, ethics, morals.
As he whistle blows, that will be
as he's pounding his fourth pizza.
Yeah. At the table of the UN as he's delivering a speech that triggers a standing ovation as he
licked the Cheeto dust off his left pinky finger and then completed his diatribe.
All right. Well, chapter 22 is the last chapter we have, and it mainly deals with him interrogating the old Canadian man.
This is, again, Dan Brown opened the humor bag, and he should have just kept it closed.
Hachi machi.
Oh man, what do you got for this?
Well, it starts with him. David says, "Sir," Becker said, overpronouncing his words as if he was speaking to a deaf person. "I need to ask you a few questions." And I understand what he's getting at here, the way you do this in a country you don't speak the language. But you would really have to overpronounce the hell out of your words to get a deaf person to hear them, right? Yes. Unless I'm misunderstanding what that means. A deaf person cannot hear you.
Yes.
No matter how loud you yell at them. Like, don't do that. Don't go and just continue to get louder if the deaf person is signing at you that they cannot hear you.
Yep, he's an ugly American from like a 70s movie or something. Like,
yes.
Sir, you don't speak the language, so let me speak a little louder.
Emphatic pointing and, talking louder. I've been there.
Yes. So, this guy is as it turns out, do I have his name here?
Clouchard.
Yes. He's what do you call him? He's the Michelin man, the Michelin guide guy.
Yeah. He's a very famous syndicated travel columnist for the Montreal Times. So it's a fun little blast from the past in terms of that being a thing.
And let's give you a little bit of his humor. Mère Dolores, I understand perfectly. He wagged a bony finger at Becker, and his voice echoed through the gymnasium. You're not the first. They tried the same... Oh, maybe my Canadian accent.
Oh, boy. Okay, sure.
They tried the same thing at the Moulin Rouge, Brown's Palace in the Gulf, Figno and Lagnos. But what went to press? The truth. The worst Wellington I've ever eaten, the filthiest tub I've ever seen, and the rockiest beach I've ever walked. My readers expect no less. So a guy comes up to you and goes, sir, and this is what you say to him. That's Dan Brown's humor.
Yeah, it's... I like, that it specified French Canadian. So let's just ignore that and do the Mackenzie brothers.
Well,
it is good. It makes everything a lot funnier.
Yeah. French Canadian. I don't speak Quebecois. Do you?
No. Oh God, no. Whenever I go there, people speak French to you in a restaurant, and I do the and then they look at me and go, "Oh, right, a moron." Like, here we go, sir. What would you like to drink? And I'm like, much better, thank you. I've heard that there are a little more sticklers there than they are actually. I mean, obviously, like in Paris and everything, you can get by. But well,
when I was in the south of France, there was a little bit of struggle there, but I've heard that it can be a little worse for an American if you just have nothing. I
think when you go to France, something about the way we look, dress, do our hair tips us off. In Montreal, it's a little less so. So I don't think that they're in the habit of judging you right away as an American.
Okay.
So I think that they go with French when you stare at them. I haven't even bothered how to say English, English s'il vous plaît. Of course I could, but I usually just stare.
Yeah. No, it
feels good, when you went to Tijuana, Ensenada, people would say it right away, but that was because they knew where you came from.
Right. Well, anyway, let's suffice it to say that this character is not subtle. Nor are his descriptions of other characters subtle. The German in the park comes to mind.
Yes.
Let me just read this. The German in the park. I told the officer about him. I refused the ring, but the fascist swine accepted it. And then a couple of sentences later. Absolutely. No woman, he's with a woman. No woman that beautiful would be with a man like that unless she were well paid. Mon Dieu. He was fat. A loudmouth, overweight, obnoxious German. Wow.
Yeah.
So Dan Brown, humor, subtlety, they're all coming into play in chapter 22.
And why is everyone just an obese slob? It's amazing. We have Jabba, we have thick-fleshed Strathmore, we have this German guy, and then the women are just goddesses strutting around and turning heads wherever they go. It's so weird.
So what have we learned? We've learned a lot about Spain. We've learned about French Canadians and their attitudes towards the Germans. I don't know if Dan Brown has a very nuanced grasp.
Are these things? Yeah.
Of the world.
And so David sort of ingratiates himself to the French Canadians. So yeah, French Canadians, Montreal, the reputation would be, snooty. Montreal is a more European city, that type of thing, if you wanted to get into stereotypes. But then so David butters him up by saying, as I'm sure a man of your stature is well aware, the Canadian government works hard to protect its countrymen from the indignity suffered in these, shall we say, less refined countries. Clouchard's thin lips parted in a knowing smile. So again, I was just thinking, are we in the dark in terms of thinking that Spain is a perfectly fine place to visit, if not incredibly cultured, romantic, and has great food? Right. What on earth is going on?
It's probably one of the most visited
honeymoon destinations.
Is
exactly.
Huge.
People love to. I've been there twice. People feel very comfortable in palaces. The Alhambra. It's just it's not like he's talking about Winnipeg or something.
Yeah, but something about this chapter struck me is that this is a longer chapter.
Yes.
And so I feel like he thought he really hit on something. I don't know if you've ever written something and you feel like you kind of have to write your way into it, where at a certain point, like, okay, now I've found
The juices are flowing.
the thing that I want. The first 2 chapters I can go back and look at because I haven't found my way, but now I've hit my stride and now I know what this thing is about.
Yep.
And I think he thought that he was here because he let the pen flow. He just let it go here.
Man.
And it goes on, and it is just wretched.
Truly, yes.
And the scene at the end of it where he tries to get the
oh my God,
the complaining man to give him the code. I thought of a number of things, but one of them I thought of was a fish called Wanda. Have you ever seen that?
A long time ago.
And at the end of it, John Cleese tries to get the stuttering character to say the name of the hotel where the other guy's going, and it goes on and on. And it's very comic, but that's what this was. It's like just say the word. Where did he go? Where did he go? Well, no, I'm alive again. Oh, yes. It was just so stupid. And
spit it out.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
sing it now. Yeah, it's
the combination of that. I just started underlining them because he's having this conversation, talking about how he didn't get the ring. The German took the ring. The German was a fat slob.
Yes.
He also identifies the woman that he's with, who we saw in real or fanfic as a escort. And says that the German had been bragging that he had her all weekend for $300.
Yeah.
Again,
so this German is just shouting this out in a park.
Yeah, exactly. What is it? And David has an envelope with $10,000 in it. Is my first thought. So, I mean, if this, the whole weekend, that again, another check mark in Spain's column. If that's you can have that good of a time over there.
That is a bargain. I didn't think about the pricing system there more, but I was more thinking about Japanese guy dies, hands a ring to a French-Canadian hotel reviewer or restaurant reviewer, and then a giantly fat German
slithers over,
takes it from him, and shouts out that he's with a prostitute. I just want to see what the scene is. What is happening here?
And the detectives think, nothing amiss here.
Well, it is pretty hot today. So, this kind of thing is going to happen.
And that man in his early 60s, man, what a senile idiot.
Let's put him on the back of a motorcycle and dump him off.
It is. If it was a comedy, it would be very funny. It's like a Where's Waldo sort of like spot the fat German, spot the stunning cheap prostitute. But getting back to that, he's having a completely normal conversation. Clouchard's tossing off bon mots. They're having laughs together. But then Clouchard dabbed at his forehead. His burst of enthusiasm had taken its toll. He suddenly looked ill. And then we get his strength was fading. He was suddenly looking pale. Clouchard was fading fast. He's not fading fast. You're doling out this garbage, paragraph by paragraph. And then
stay with me, old fella.
So, but like we know as people who have seen movies before, that something is, he's been poisoned or something. And so he's doing that, no, but you must know that
yes.
Oh, yeah. And a nurse starts approaching him to kick out David. And then it ends with him stammering, the German called the woman, like you just said, John Cleese, do what? Do drop. Oh. And so that's how it ends. As we learn that do drop is the hooker that we're looking for.
I used to do that to my kids when they were little to annoy them, to tell them that I'm dying. You're just messing around on the ground or whatever, wrestling, and then I go, you killed me. The money's in the. It's like slap my face. Dad, there's millions of dollars. And all you need to know is, and just do it for 10 minutes until they be screaming, stop it.
Dad, tell me where the money is so I can return it to the NSA.
Yes. I can't believe he actually used that. There's one it reminded me of my dad used to love the Pink Panther movies. There's one where there's a cross-dressing butler, the butler did it, and he's suspected, so he follows him, and it turns out that he does a drag act at a gay nightclub.
Okay.
And so he gets shot by the bad guys, and he comes into his dressing room, and he's still in his wig and everything, and Clouseau bends down. He's like, it was, yes, the exact same thing that's happening here. And then he goes down to listen to him, and the guy reaches up and kisses him, and that's his
Oh my God.
But that's what it reminded me of, just like a stupid comic moment.
Dumbest, broadest comedy.
Yes.
Wow. Oh man! All right. Well done, Dan Brown, for triggering those type of memories from that. Well, I think we have to move it along pretty quickly because we were hitting the old 2-hour mark. But we can do some dumb sentences, maybe a choice email or two.
A sentence begins with a capital letter. A capital letter is a letter that's big. A capital letter is not a small letter. A capital letter.
Yeah, that's long, but what else are we going to do?
We got some dumb sentences of the week. Many of them submitted by our Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/372pages. Go on over there. You can listen to the rapidly descending into utter chaos and madness quarantine minis we've been posting.
Mm-hmm.
And to take part in getting every episode early and contests, etc. It's a lot of fun, and we appreciate everyone who does it. But here's the dumb sentences. Hail, this is from Zach. Hail arched a surprised eyebrow. He says it's short and sweet and posits the existence of sentient facial features. We had Matt and Curtis gave us Lieutenant looked offended in the way only a Spaniard can be offended.
There we go.
Yep. Lucas submitted on the wall, this is of the hospital, on the wall a basketball hoop hung limply from its backboard. If it's the basketball hoop and not the net that's limp, I'd like to know what material it's made of. Just he's mixing his metaphors there again. Mm-hmm. Khan submitted the lieutenant shocked you're not going to experience Seville. Braden submitted this one from the person with 170 IQ. A defective heart could kill him just like that. So I guess she's just her IQ is in the code breaking realm and not the basic anatomy. George submitted he depended heavily on his computer while devising and revising his plans. I think that's with his system software.
Brainstorm?
Yes, Brainstorm. John submitted Solo El Escroto, which stands alone very well.
Sure.
Patrick submitted, whether he's sleeping, showering, or eating, the passkey would always be with him, ready at a moment's notice for instant publication. And he took a different exception to that. He'd less of an infomercial and more, except for that it was a ring. He was in the shower, and the thing standing in his way would be not being at a terminal and being wet or being asleep.
Right.
So it's, pretty damn dumb. This is from Narum. It appeared, as usual, that he had found favor with the Shikagosan, the 7 deities of good luck. And Narum explains, I think that's Numa guy. Narum explained, why this sentence? Because the 7 deities of good luck are the Shikafukujian. Shikagosian is a festival for little kids to celebrate growing up.
Wow.
It's as flat out bad research as it gets.
I didn't even look that up again. It's like with the Columbus's scrotum. You just go, that's so stupid that I'm not going to waste time on it. It must be a thing. And he's just supposed to be color, obviously. But wow.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad we have so many Japanese people who are down with the minutia of the culture that can fill us in on this because it's very funny. The next one, this is from Tris. Catholicism, he's referring to Spain. Catholicism was bigger here than in Vatican City. He says, what do you mean
I noted
bigger?
Is a very dumb sentence.
Just say that Spain is a very Catholic country without going into stupid territory. Like, that's who's bigger in Denver, Kelly LeBrock or Kim Basinger? Andrew submitted, is the NSA, this is Susan saying this, is the NSA tapping my phone? Susan works for the NSA, who are monitoring all of the data on the internet and all of the emails. Of course, they are checking your phone calls too. Like, what do you need to, how did that need to be something you were told? Tom submitted, it was designed to feel like home, plush carpets, high-tech sound system, fully stocked fridge, kitchenette, Nerf basketball hoop. He said, so the code breakers are 12-year-old boys who happen to be fond of plush carpeting. I have a couple that did not get burned. I don't know if you, I guess I just have one. If the NSA can put 5, this is all one sentence. If the NSA can put 5 rhyolite satellites in geosynchronous orbit over the Mideast, I think it's safe to assume we have the resources to pay off a few Spanish policemen. That's the old.
I didn't mark it as a dumb sentence, but that does stick out in my mind.
It's it's just about as catchy as the traditional one of that. Like, if we can put a man on the moon, we should be able to get this tax website. I don't know. That's what he was going for. But
there was a joke. I don't know whether this was a stand-up comedy or I read it or something. Maybe Frank Conniff told it to me years ago that he knew someone who said it. They can kill the Kennedys. Why can't they make a decent cup of coffee? Or something like that. Just an absurdity.
Royal they.
Yeah. My dumb sentences got burned.
Okay. Well, then let's.
But we had plenty of them. We're good.
Oh man, yeah. This was it's riches. Like again, like after Shadow Moon, it's just so nice to be able to delve into a book that has treats like that around every corner. And
indeed.
But let's do some quick emails.
We're going to the party. We're going to the game. We're going to the disco. We're going to cruise out, man.
What do you got?
Oh, we got a lot of good ones, so maybe we'll have to do some other ones later. We got Daniel who wrote in and saying that in his UK copy of the book, the reference to Estee Lauder had been removed.
What?
Yep. It was just, it had her just completely not there. So he thought maybe it was a product placement restriction or something like that. But,
yeah, has to be. Like the Kinks Lola was censored because it mentioned Coca-Cola, not because it was about a transvestite. Yeah.
Wow. That's bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin wrote in, said, I couldn't find a free ebook version of Digital Fortress on the library app, so I settled for the audiobook. I was very confused when I started listening to this last podcast because it turns out the bulk of the horniness has been edited out of the audiobook.
What?
No descriptions of firm breasts and flat stomachs, no creepy security guards ogling her legs, no drinking fountain baths or celebratory bagels. In fact, what I listened to wasn't great, but I wasn't sure you would get enough to make fun of. Turns out the editing the book should have had was saved for the audiobook. It's still bad though. Was
it done years later and like cooler minds prevailed? Like we obviously can't release this garbage.
Yeah, that's a really good question. It could have been after, this was before his biggest bestseller. So maybe they took it out since I don't feel like that was in the Da Vinci Code, all the horniness.
Maybe they said, we don't want you to see this Dan Brown.
Yeah.
This is our new Dan Brown 2.0, who's not a horny weirdo.
But Jennifer had a succinct, definite description. This whole book describing sex or Susan is basically just the Oh Yeah song by Yellow from Ferris Bueller.
And that is sunglasses being tilted down. Yep.
Yeah. Mike weighed in. A lot of our listeners have started getting ads for the Dan Brown Masterclass in their, I think, Facebook and Instagram feeds. I've gotten them myself.
What? Does he host some sort of live?
Masterclasses are like, I think a lot of people have done, music production or speech writing, comedy.
Of course, yeah.
But Mike had a subscription, I guess, so he watched a few of them. He said, I watched the first few masterclass lessons. Be on the lookout for Dan's 3 C's, the contract, the crucible, and the clock. The contract is the promise that Dan Brown will pay off all the questions asked in the novel. I sincerely doubt that. The crucible is especially since our questions are mostly about Vichyssoise and stuff like that.
Yes.
The crucible is the hero just can't walk away. She or he needs no way out but to solve the problem.
Yep.
And the clock.
Head in a fountain. Got to do it. Yep.
And the clock makes the hero solve it quickly. So see how well he pays those off in Digital Fortress. Hint, not well.
Does that even apply to the Da Vinci Code? Isn't that movie like 3.5 hours long or something? The clock, I guess, is pretty flexible.
I think someone else watched it and says that Dan Brown's master classes are very short compared to other people who are offering them too. So maybe the clock is working in his favor there in terms of, I'll do this, but I'm not going to spend much time or effort on it.
Right. Yeah, I think of master classes as, Daniel Barenboim or something teaching people piano and stuff, not Dan Brown talking about flat stomachs and firm breasts.
Here's how to crap out a bestseller. You should consider one based on your quarantine minis on classical music.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Final email is from Michael. I asked, this is funny because it's the classic friend's uncle who works for Nintendo or Canadian girlfriend. Asked my friend who currently works in the NSA about the cafeteria. He said, it's your standard office cafeteria and overpriced because there's no competition. No, they never have prime rib or Vichyssoise. He also described Digital Fortress as laughably wrong. So finally some confirmation.
That comports. That makes sense.
That's it for me for our emails. We got a lot of them, but we'll do a mailbag maybe later on.
Yeah. All right. We'll pick up on this. People seem to be excited by digital fortress. What do you call him? Digital boy? What digital?
Bobby Digital.
Bobby Digital. Sorry.
Bobby. Digi.
Okay. Well, people, sorry that we ran a little long, but look, Connor and I haven't had any time together at all, and so it's been good to just catch up and just wallow in each other's company, Connor. If you and I speak after this, I'll be shocked.
I know. Oh, man. No, not a chance.
We're done. You and I, we're done professionally. All right.
We'll post the description in the or the next assignment in the notes.
All right. Sounds good. This is 372 pages. We'll never get back. Michael J. Nelson signing off.
Connor Listoka. Talk to you later. Bye.
So long.